Today I'm going to tell you about Christian leadership principles. In this talk, we're going to be talking about why leadership is important for the church. 2 different approaches to Christian leadership by looking at the books Lead Like Butler and Next Generation Leader. How these principles can be used and what kind of leader does the church need. Why is leadership important? Leadership is not about titles, not about positions or flowcharts. It's about one life influencing another, by John Maxwell. This quote sums up what leadership is for me. I was told when I became a youth minister that I'm in the business of people. Influencing one person's life is what I'm here to do. Influencing one person's life for the sake of Jesus. Leadership in the church is a necessity. We see throughout the Bible that there are all sorts of leaders, and maybe they're not the most qualified. They all come from different backgrounds. But leaders that aren't clergy, aren't youth pastors, aren't staff, are always important, especially today. 2 approaches to Christian leadership. The first one we're going to talk about is my favorite. It's from a book called Lead Like Butler. It's about Brad Stevens' time at Butler University and his approach to leadership. And his approach uses 6 different value-based leadership principles. And he put those all together, and they formed the Butler way. The way that the team was built through leadership. The Next Generation Leader by Andy Stanley. Andy Stanley is a pastor of one of the largest churches in the United States, North Point Community Church, out of Atlanta, Georgia. And he uses 5 essential leadership principles to develop all of his leaders in his church. In Lead Like Butler, 6 principles of value-based leadership. We have humility, passion, unity, servanthood, thankfulness, and accountability. Humility, defined as a modest or low view of one's own importance. Paul of Tarsus said this probably one of the best ways, that we don't do things for ourselves. In humility, we also have to make sure that we are doing things. And that one of the main points is no task is too important for whatever position you're in. As a youth minister, I'd say one of the biggest things I do is move chairs. I'm not too good to do any one thing. We also must lead with humility. Share that humility with others. The next is passion. We always have to have passion in everything that we do. Passion shows your depth of character. You also must lead with passion in everything, because once your passion is shown, other people take upon that passion. Unity. One of the biggest concepts of leadership is unity. In the Bible, we see this quote by Paul of Tarsus, and he is talking about the unity in the body and how they work together. Jesus unified all sorts of people from every background. Everybody is unified. One of the biggest things of leadership is unifying people. Businesses also call for unity. Southwest Airlines, when they were going through a restructuring, called for unity of their employees, which benefited them in production. Servanthood. Jesus was a servant leader. It was shown by washing of the feet. He was able to serve others, serve his disciples. He served first before he served himself. Thankfulness. One of the best phrase that I've seen is, gratefulness leads to gratefulness. We forget to thank others. We forget to show how grateful we are and how thankful we are. We like to receive thanks, but not show our thanks. Accountability. Having someone that keeps you accountable is important. Keep you on a level ground. Accountability, we have to have someone else that keeps us accountable. In the Next Generation Leader, Andy Stanley points out that competence, courage, clarity, coaching, and character. One of my favorite things about this is this all builds upon each other. Because you have to have competence before you can have courage. You have to have courage before you can have clarity. And you must be a coach before you have character. It all builds upon itself into one great leader. How can we use these principles? We use them as a guide for everything. Everything we do has to be these principles have to be reflected. Start small. If you don't have all of these, add one. Add one, and then add another. Start small. We also have to use the model of do, reflect, and apply. We must be an example of these in the do aspect. And then we have to reflect on how we showed these principles. But then we also have to apply the mistakes that we made in our reflection. We also have to gather feedback. Gathering feedback as a leader is hard because it puts you in a vulnerable place. But it also allows you to grow the most. And brings everything to what kind of leader does the church need? Craig Gershell said it the best. He has a podcast about the 6 different types of leaders. And these are the 2 types that we need. Healthy leaders and empowering leaders. As you can see what the healthy leaders have here, producing faithful followers. When we are healthy leaders, we also have to be empowering leaders. And that's just taking what the traits of a healthy leader and adding and just going one step further. Leaders are always working to be better. And during today, you have learned about why leadership is important, the 2 approaches to Christian leadership, and how we can use these principles. What kind of leaders are needed in the church? Thank you.